Hello everybody and welcome to the October 2022 update from Clydebridge Station. In this month's update we're going to be looking at how these were built, signal gantries. We'll be doing work here on replacing all of this black gravel with this stuff here. We've got better gravel and we've got a proper building now in place. I'll also be mentioning the last two locomotives to enter service at the layout, and one of them is on screen there right now. And something that I forgot to do in the August update was compare the Bachmann parcels liveried 47 to that of the Lima parcels 47. That'll be getting put right in this update as well. I'll be shouting out some layouts and some people as well during this programme, so do check those out as well, and if you've got any comments, queries or suggestions, please leave them in the comments below. Now, before I start this month's update, towards the end of September I had a new follower on Instagram, and that's Rail Express magazine, and they then private messaged me on Instagram explaining that they were starting up a new part on the modelling section of their website. Now, if you go on their website, and the link is to what I'm about to describe to you is in the description below, and you click on modelling and then it's model spotting, it's a new section they're starting on their website where they're inviting readers of the magazine and of their website to showcase their layouts. And I was very honoured, I'm very privileged and very proud to say that Clydebridge Station is the first one to be featured on the layout, on the website. There's 10 photographs of the layout taken at different times, and there's a full description and explanation of the layout with links to this YouTube channel, and it's also on Facebook and Twitter as well. And I have to say, I am very, very honoured to be the very first one. I know there's really popular layouts out there like Barnabas Junction, Dean Park Station, Everard Junction, New Durham Junction, that have got way more followers and are way more well known than what I am. I honestly never expected to be the first, but I am very honoured and very proud and privileged to be the first to be featured on their website. And I just want to thank everybody at Rail Express magazine for giving me the opportunity to put my layout on their website. Thank you very much indeed for that, and thanks to all of you as well for your support and suggestions as well. The link to the article is in the description below, so please go and check it out, and I'm sure there'll be other layouts on there in the future that you can check out as well, and do check them out please. So with all of that, we'll get underway with this month's update, and we're going to be starting off with the signal gantries. Signal gantries have been around for centuries on the railway, and initially the gantries were carried semaphore signalling. Over the years, at numerous locations, these gantries have either been replaced by colour light post signals or signals on gantries with colour lights. Classic examples that proved popular in the past with photographers include Inverness and Aberdeen, both swept away in 1986. At some stations it is possible to see a mix of the gantries and posts. That's what's going to happen here initially. So this is a gantry that's going to be built, and it's, of course, as you see, like a goalpost one, and it's going to have the three aspect hood. So there'll be a hood in the box for everything to go into. One thing you'll notice about this is it goes on about LEDs. This is going to be a non-operational one, so there'll be certain bits of this that I won't need to do, and it's going to obviously sit about here. Clearances will have to be checked as well beforehand to get the exact positioning of it. I may actually also replace this signal here by putting it on the gantry. I haven't decided yet. But it's going to sit here, and once it's all done, this area here will get its final bits of ballast and waste ground put in, and then we'll be able to concentrate on this next bit here. A couple of things to point out as well. I'm going to take my time with it, make sure I get everything absolutely right. And secondly, I'm not going to paint it. I've been advised by the manufacturers I'm not going to paint it. And as I say, the eBay shop, I'll put the link to that in the description below. So it says, first of all, to prepare the LEDs for soldering and cabling. Don't need to worry about the soldering, but what I do need to do is simply get the LEDs into the hood and then put them onto the box. Right, well, that's the 3 lights all set up there. You know, I have to confess, I actually caused a little bit of damage to this one here, but I'm going to have to just live with it. What I've done is, when I pushed the LEDs through, I went and put Yoo-hoo glue on them before I put them through, and the hoods I've stuck with, pushed them on and used Yoo-hoo glue as well. I'll cut these off using the rail cutters, and then what I can then do after that is get on with building this part here. What you do to prepare the gantries, you have to fold each of these up and then glue the rails together. Do it gently, obviously, because of the fact that these are 3D printed. It does point out to use a Dremel or small drill to make a 2 to 3 millimeter hole wide enough for the cable coming. Obviously I don't need to do that because I'm not going to be using any cable. So I'll actually glue that. I'm going to first of all try this glue here. See if that sticks things together. If not, I'll just have to use Yoo-hoo glue. I'll get on now though with clipping these first of all. Well, actually I'll wait until I'll give them a few minutes till they're dry. So I'll make a start now on building the rail up here. And as I say, I'm not going to paint this. It'll just have to stay as it is. Now anyway, it looks a bit plasticky, but it is 3D printed, so I may actually leave it all. I'll see what it's like before I install it. Now that's it in position. I've put it in position before I've added the signals and that on. I will admit I had a bit of a job getting these feet into position. Don't know what the cause of that is, and it's making it look a little bit squint. However, it is in position, and I actually tested it running these coaches round it, because Mark IIs are going to be the longest coaches in there, and they do pass it. There's a little bit of space, so they do pass it, so that's good there. And there's more than enough clearance here as well, because the coach is going around that way, so the overhang will be away that side. So that's what it's like. I had to put it in position before I added the signals, so I knew exactly where to put the signals, and then I could line them up 1, 2, 3 over there. I've also got these, which are the catenary covers, which would be for the cables going around. I'll put them on anyway to give it a bit more of an effect. And we've got the ladders here, and I'm also going to show you these. These are actually for carrying overhead catenary on if you're actually doing an electrification one. Say, like say Dean Park Station, for instance, it has that sort of thing. New Junction will be another one that will have that sort of thing eventually. So that's what you've got there, but we don't need those catenary holders. These ladders, you've got to bend a little bit to get them into position, and they're actually going to sit around here. So I've got to bend them into position, and I'm going to also add a bit more glue to that to keep it stable. And what I'll actually do is put the ladders in and the catenary holders in, and then I'll put these in last. Now if they actually do fall off after using Yoo-hoo glue, I'll have to resort to Loctite super glue, so that's going to be quite a I have thing there. I mentioned two layouts there, Dean Park Station and New Junction. I'll also mention Everard Junction. That's that and Dean Park are the two regular suspects on here. And I'll also mention West Blythe MPD and March West TMD. All of those you'll find here on YouTube, and you'll also find some of them on Twitter and Instagram as well. Right, I'm going to crack on and get the rest of this put into place, and hopefully we'll have a signal gantry at the end of it. Non-operational, but a good damn signal gantry nonetheless. Right, well that's one signal gantry built. Now, what I am hoping is that everything stays glued together, otherwise I'm going to have to go and get some Loctite super glue, as I say. And my main concern are these signals over here. Took away this signal now because I have decided to use that signal there. The locomotive would probably be round about here anyway, so it would be quite visible. So, just show you what I mean. The loco would come up to here, so it should still be visible. So that's that gantry there, and I'm going to give some thought to possibly getting another gantry for these two tracks and something over that track there. I know that that company does it. So that's that done there. What now needs to happen is this bit of cable chunking here and here will come out, but I'll be able to reuse that in here. Then we'll get scatter material put in here and in here. That'll then finish off this first part here, and then we'll have a look at it again. And if I decide I'm going to go for a gantry for over here, a 2-track gantry, then obviously I can't do put the ballast onto here until I've got it all done. So that, as I say, is going to be the next task I'll face. But anyway, I'll get these up and I'll get this bit all finished off. Let's turn our attention now to the last two locomotives that are going to be here on the layout. And I really do mean that, and it also gives me a chance to explain a little problem here that's going to be resolved. These are two Lima machines that you see here, and one of them, this one was bought off eBay. This one is actually one from the old layout, Glasgow City. Both have been converted by Jim at Scooney Hobbies into DCC fitted machines. Now this one's still a bit jumpy, but we'll get that sorted out eventually, don't you worry. This one a little bit jumpy as well, but not as bad. So what I'll do, because this one's a little bit jumpy, I'll actually run this one first of all. Hopefully it'll work, hopefully we'll get it. Stop it there, in fact, who says it can't be stopped in a junction? This is 47406 and it's a celebrity machine, and her name is Rail Riders. And we'll give you a little bit of history about this machine in a minute. The other machine is 47676 Northamptonshire. There you go, you can see that there. Both, as I say, Lima machines. So they were previously analogue, now both converted to digital. What I'll do is I'll get the locomotives positioned into a better spot so I can tell you a bit more about them. So this is 47406, named Rail Riders. Now this machine was purchased on eBay, and what I didn't know at the time when I bought the machine was it had etched nameplates on it, and I'll zoom the camera in. It did make it clear that it was a renumbering into 47406, but it has etched nameplates. Oops, just a little bit out of focus there, hang on. There we go. I'll make a cameraman yet. So that's it there, Rail Riders. I'll zoom back out now. But yeah, she has a renumbering from another locomotive, no idea what, obviously. "47406 is the only one of the generator class 47/4s here on Clydebridge station. She was one of the original 20 pre-production batch of locomotives that were built by Brushworks at the Falcon Works in Loughborough, and she was original number D1505. When she was built, she carried the BR two-tone green, and like the other 19 pre-production batch of 20 class 47/4s, as she would become, they were built with both steam heating and electric train supply. 47406, therefore, when she was allocated to Gateshead, mainly worked with steam heated stock until electric heated stock took over on the East Coast Main Line in 1969, and she worked virtually most types of passenger trains on the East Coast Main Line, with the exception of the Crack Expresses, which the Deltics would have hauled. She gained her name Rail Riders in 1981 in a ceremony at Newcastle Central. That came about with the creation of the Rail Riders Club in 1981 as well, originally called the Great Railway Club, I believe it was. And a 9-year-old person called David Atkins named it. The crest that you saw on there is the Rail Riders Club logo, and it was added in 1985. So she was really a celebrity machine, and a year later in 1986, in fact I tell a lie, it was, looking at my records here, it was actually late 1985, she became only the third class 47 to gain the Intercity Executive livery, after 47461, which became a celebrity when it became the only non-push-pull 47 to gain blue striped ScotRail livery, and Stratford's 47487. This became a celebrity, being the only one of the generators to gain the Intercity Executive livery, and indeed she's the only locomotive on the layout that carries Intercity Executive livery. The plates were removed in 1988 when the locomotive was transferred to Intercity for restrictive duties. That was mainly for hauling electric locomotives and stock from Leeds to Bradford until the East Coast Main electrification was completed there. She was later moved on to the rail freight sector, but in fact didn't do much work for rail freight. And even though she carried Intercity livery, she mainly worked Newcastle to Liverpool Transpennine trains, so it's somewhat appropriate that we have a Transpennine train just parked in platform number 4. Withdrawn by 1990, she was then officially withdrawn again after being reinstated, and was finally disposed of by M.J. Phillips at Frodingham. A very sad end for a notable locomotive, but she was the only one of the 20 generators, as I say, to carry the Intercity Executive livery. And there's a book that came out in 1986 called Rail Portfolio 7, the 47s, and this machine features in that book, leaving Clapham Junction with a Manchester to Newhaven train. She was allocated at the time, of course, to the Gateshead depot, which is long since gone, and was the home of some of the generators for many years. The Rail Riders Club, by the way, actually was recreated in 2019, and I've put a link in the description below to the Rail Riders Club website, so you can have a look at it if you so wish. And they don't have a class 47, but I think there's a couple of 66s that they've got named Rail Riders 2019. It would be really good with the Great British Railways being created if we could actually see the Rail Riders Club responsibility being moved towards GBR and Network Rail, and also if we could end up seeing it being much more revitalised. We can but hope. But as I say, she's a very, very notable locomotive. She's a very quick locomotive as well. What we'll do is I'm going to get 47701 off that TransPennine train, and we'll shunt 47406 onto it. And then we'll talk about 47676. Bear with me. This is the one that's a little bit troublesome, but I think I've got the solution for it. I'm going to give the wheels a really good clean, and she is starting to move a bit. This one is the only 47/6 on the layout, and I must go and explain to you about the 47/6 subclass. There were two very distinct 47/6 subclasses, both rather short-lived. The first one was in 1976 when 47046 was converted into 47601, and she was used to test a power unit, the Ruston-Paxman power unit, that was going to be installed in the class 56s. So it was really an engine test bed locomotive. She was rebuilt after an earlier accident. That 47601 later became the unique 47901 when it gained the engine that was to be used in the class 58 locomotives. So it was an engine test bed loco. It was actually later cut up in Glasgow at MC Metals. This second batch of 47/6s was also short-lived, and it actually comprised 7 locomotives that were actually renumbered from other 47/4s, and they were mainly allocated to Inverness for use on Anglo-Scottish sleeper services that required a much higher electric train supply index. For those of you who don't understand this bit, I'll explain to you. Each locomotive, if it was equipped with electric train supply, would have an index rating, and the total value of the index rating in the coaches could not exceed that in the locomotive. The only way to do that would be to double head. So for instance, 47406, which you've just seen there, had an electric train supply rating of 66. So any coaches in the formation would maybe have the ETS supply of, say, 3. So there's an ETS supply of 9 straight away for you. These were given a much higher ETS rating to allow them to haul much longer Anglo-Scottish sleeper trains. But by the mid-1990s, they were no longer required for that work. Not that they actually were used exclusively on Anglo-Scottish sleeper trains, of course, because they found work elsewhere too. This one is 47676, and she carries the name Northamptonshire. Cut up at sea of Booth and Rotherham in 1998. This was the last livery she wore. Intercity Swallow. Previously numbered D1623, 47042 and 47586. She also had a couple of non-standard variations of the BR Blue livery before gaining this livery. And she was numbered in July 1991 to 47676. But by 1992 she was moved to Immingham, and indeed she was actually withdrawn in 1994 when she was moved to the freight sector, giving the rail freight sector a rather elaborate and somewhat overdressed machine for freight work. Other 47/6s were renumbered back into their previous numbers, what happened was basically generator cars and pairs of Class 37s took over the work. But at rail privatisation, ScotRail, who ran the Caledonian Sleeper as part of their franchise, used Rail Express Systems Class 47s and later EWS Class 67s. So these wouldn't have lasted much longer anyway. Indeed, I think they're probably more short-lived than the 47601. The name Northamptonshire, of course, refers to that county of Northamptonshire, and I believe that there's actually a plaque at a station to commemorate that. I could be also thinking of another 47/4, which was named Kettering, so I could be wrong on that one. So that brings us to 19 Class 47s and the ubiquitous Class 08 shunter. I mean, at this time, there'll be no more locomotives arriving. We've got 19 47s, we've got an 08 shunter, we've got 20 locomotives. And that means that I'll be doing a series of fleet review videos in the future. I'll be able to do 5 in each video. So this one will appear in one of the videos, and this will actually appear in the very first video. It means that I've also got quite a few celebrity machines now on the layout. In fact, we've got 3 of them parked here and a 4th one at the buffers. Sorry, we've got 2 of them parked here and a 3rd one at the buffers. I can't count. With 47406 and 47628. And then we've got here 47475. I know it might seem incongruous to have 47406 hauling a trans-Pennine train, but as I say to you, that's the sort of work she done in her later days. Now, a couple of quick shout-outs to you. I'm going to put a link in the top right-hand corner to a gentleman. I want you to check him out, Eric Burgett. When you think of country music singers, you'll think of them playing guitars. Eric Burgett is a country music singer, but he actually plays keyboards. So go and check him out. I've got a link to one of his videos from the Grindhouse at Nashville. And the tune is called Raised. So check him out. And also check out Way Too Heartless. I've put the link to his Instagram in the description below. Quite a contrast. He's a guitarist and a rock singer. So go and check him out as well. In my previous video, the August update, I went and mentioned to you we're going to compare the Lima Class 47 and Parcels livery to the Bachmann version, and then I went and forgot to do it. So, let's go and put that right now. It's a fine September evening as I film this next bit. So we've got here 47569, and this is the Lima loco. I'll just move that forward a wee bit. And we've got the Bachmann version here, 47474. So let's compare the two types. Apologies for the dust, by the way. Now, the one thing you'll notice straight away with them is that with the Lima model, the arrangements here for the little circle there are different to what they are here. You see, it's actually inset to the moulding, whereas there it's actually raised. There's also a slight difference with the steps there, as you can just see on there. The buffers are sprung on the Bachmann one, they're not on the Lima one. The doors themselves, you see the ribs that are along the doors there, are also featured on the Bachmann one, but they're not as pronounced as on the Lima one. And if you actually look very carefully down here with the fuel tank, the gauge is not here, but it is on the Bachmann version. What is actually also most notable as well with the two types is that the shades of red do appear to be slightly different, and obviously you'll see the shades of grey are slightly different as well. And that's more pronounced here on the top. It's more of a sort of greeny grey, on the Bachmann version. You can see it's actually a proper grate on the Lima one. Now, as to what one is actually correct, I actually believe, from what I've seen with some photographs, that actually, rather ironically, it's the Lima one that might actually be more accurate than the Bachmann one, but it's very difficult to tell, but from photos I think that's the case. Looking at the roof, you'll see that we've got the grills here and here. They've got the fans as part of the moulding on the Lima one. The fans are hidden there in the Bachmann version, but they are there. And I've also shown you the exhaust part there. There is a rib that's raised round the exhaust hole there on the Bachmann one. It's actually inset on the Lima one. There are quite a few other noticeable detail differences, and one of them that struck me was here. You see it's a square plate here, but it's a round plate here on 47474. However, have a look at this one here. This is the Bachmann 47550, and it's actually a square plate. So what I'm thinking may be the case is that the Lima one could be correct, namely because it may just be the way that we're built different batches, although you'll notice 47406 has it, but please do bear in mind this was a renumbering from another locomotive. So I would think that perhaps that was correct. There's also this grill here for some reason, which has actually been blocked off on there, and that's the same with 47708, another Bachmann machine. So I'm wondering if that has been a modification to the roof system at some point. Somebody will no doubt let me know. Also notice on the Bachmann one, these bits are picked out in grey, whereas they're actually the roof colour on the Lima one. To be honest with you, I actually prefer the Lima version to the Bachmann one. However, I would just point out that if you are going to be weathering them, it's not going to be too much of an issue. We'll finish up by looking at the cabs, and please bear in mind that the cabs themselves, the Lima one has no working lights, the Bachmann one has. The buffer beam is correct on the Lima one because 47569 was a red one, but it's very plasticky. There's a lot more detail on the Bachmann one that you could fit on, and there's already some like the ETH socket and jumper cable there, which you see on the other end. They're not on the Lima one, but do remember there's about a 30-year difference between the toolings. Of course, that doesn't bother me because I need my locomotives to have couplings at both ends anyway, and you can't have couplings and detailing on the same end, I'm told, so not a big issue there. The moulding here includes the actual handrails, which you can see are actually raised and are separate from the body. They're attached to the body on the Bachmann version. Where Lima have got it right is they've got the flashes there for the electrification. And something else Lima's got right, and I don't know if you actually notice this, there's these little ribs down here between the base of the body. They're not there on the Bachmann, the Lima version. I think that could be the correct one, but anyway, somebody will point me in the right direction on that. Now, as I say, you've got to remember there's a difference between these two. Well, I'm saying 30s, I think it's more 20 odd years between the two designs. However, Hornby are actually using this as the basis for their railroad version of the Class 47, and 47712 Lady Diana Spencer has been brought out in blue stripes ScotRail livery as part of its railroad range, and it is actually fitted with sound, so it could actually, so this model does survive. And if you are actually wanting a budget entry into the model railway market, perhaps Hornby's Lima tooling is the way to go. Now we're going to do a couple more shout outs for you, and check out Warley Wood Junction and Dunwoody Way. We'll talk about Dunwoody Way first of all. His is a fictional N-gauge layout. loosely based on a part of Crew Works. So if you check him out, he's set in the era of 1984 to 1994. I don't know if he's on YouTube, but he is definitely on Twitter. Also, want to check out Worley Wood Junction. Now, he is on Twitter as well, and I believe he might be on YouTube too. So do check them out on Twitter anyway, and give them both a follow. And whilst I'm at it, go and check out my good friends, the world's best clothing brand, Wrangler. Go and check them out. I've put the link to the website in the description below. And I want you to check out a singer from Wigan called Jamie Reeves. Go and check him out as well. He's here on YouTube. Let's get back to gantries now. We've got one built. I've got two more coming. And what we'll do is we'll get them built. And that'll allow us to get this bit finished here. We'll just need the walkways there. So I've got the signal gantries coming. I've got a 2-track one for here, and a single one that will go here. That'll be the signal gantries in place. So that's the plan. So we'll go and look at those signal gantries that's coming in. Well, as time moves on, it's a very fine mid-September evening as we get ready here at Clydebridge to build the next of the signal gantries. And I'm just going to show you on here, don't know how well the camera can pick it out there, yeah. That's the company's website, and they've got an eBay shop, as I say, that I'll put in the description below. So the single gantry is going to be the one sitting here, and the twin gantry will be the one sitting here. I'm going to be doing the single one first, so I'm not then having to reach over and do things. And what it means is that these two signals are going to come out, and the cable trunking, I'm going to move, this will come out, and I'm going to move it to probably about here, this box. I'll see how it goes anyway once I've got the thing built. We'll take a run and jump at that then. So signal gantries, we've got a twin one, and we have a single one. Now I'm just looking to make sure I've got everything right here. Appears to be that I have, yep. So this is actually our single one. Now the single one, very important to stress to you that it has the 3 aspect here and the 2 aspect that would sit there. I'm only going to be needing the 3 aspect anyway, and it'll be going over the track like what we've got with these signal gantries here, and it'll replace this signal here. So I'll just put that back down there for a minute. First thing we need to do, there we go, that we don't need in the bucket. So all being well, the new gantry should sit somewhere into this spot here, and the signal will go over it. It'll have to sit in such a way that it'll still provide good clearance for the trains, and test running has proved already that's the case with this gantry here. Hopefully it'll actually sit down a lot straighter than the one I built earlier on. And by the way, once I have actually got this bulk here and put into place, it'll just be the walkway needing to get put into here and along here before we can get the final bits of the ballast down. So this whole bit is nearly done. A lot more work has to be done with this bit here, as already mentioned. So what we must do first of all is start building the gantry. Very similar idea to the previous gantry that we built. So I shall start and get the first bits of it together, and then I'll show you where I am. It was a bit of a bugger, shall we say, to get these bits built. I managed to break the plastic strip there, so I'm going to actually have to fix that as an after repair. And this here, goodness knows how the hell this is not, it's holding on at the moment. Now I'm lucky that it's going to be sitting that way. So I'll need to proceed carefully with that and try and do some sort of after effects repair on it. But clearly, excuse me, clearly it's not ideal, but look, there's nothing else I can do about it. That's the simple fact of the matter. The actual gantry uses one of these, and you'll see it's got the hole there for the shunt signal, as it were. We won't be needing that because obviously it's only going to be one train. There's no need for a shunt signal, but it'll still sit in like that. But what I'll do is I'll turn it that way. You could see there, it's actually fitting in quite nicely there, so with adequate clearance there will be no problem for the push-pull train. Quite good, that. So that's where it'll end up sitting, and then we'll just need to put some ballast round it towards the end. I'll maybe need to actually remove some of this stuff and possibly site that there with cables going there, or even extend the cable trunking along to it. That's something that we'll deal with afterwards. Take that back out because it'll actually be needed on the gantry. So I'll get the next bit done, which involves all sorts of things, and it includes putting this gantry together with glue pull to truss part. Make sure the pole and truss are aligned as shown. Wish me luck. Well, as the light begins to fade a bit, I'll be heading up the stairs shortly to the house. That's it built. I've had to put the building here to try and keep this straight now until the glue dries, but if that fails I'll just have to use super glue on it. Then it'll be a case of getting the trunking in here, and we'll then try and put the junction box about there somewhere, and then I could maybe get some cables going to that there. So that's what will be happening there. So the cable trunking's the next bit that's going to come in all the way up here to where the junction box is, or the electrical cabinets, electrical cubicles, whatever you wish to call them. Then I'll get the other gantry built, which will be sitting here, and it's a twin track one. And once that's in place, we'll have some signals. And I've just been thinking as well, this signal here is going to have to get replaced with a 2-aspect one. The reason for that being, it's got 3 aspects, and that's incorrect, and this will have to get replaced as well for the same reason. So Lip is going to get a little order off me in the new year for gantries, because obviously, or signals, because obviously these signals are wrong. So we've just got the 2-aspect one to get built, and that will take the same form as the one aspect gantry that we've got there. So I'll get on with that, and as I say, I'll let you see their website address again. It is Lit Prints, so there you go. So we've got one down, one to go. By the way, these bits are actually spare here, and this would include your overhead catenary holder, and if you were using this as a ladder for the 2-aspect section, you would use that, all these bits as well. I've got the main ladder here for the actual gantry, and that's just the last thing it's got to get stuck on, and it'll go somewhere around about there. I'll get that glued on just shortly. You've got to bend it as well. But I'll try and put it on without bending it. Who said it had to be bent? So we'll go and get that done. And then the next time you see this in a few seconds, this will all be complete, and the other gantry here will all be complete as well. There we go, 3 signal gantries up. This one here, I've had to again prop it up, and that'll have to stay there for a few days till the glue's set. This one's now fine. I'm not putting a ladder on this one just yet, because this surface here is going to be the next thing that'll be getting taken up and replaced with this. I'm also going to take up a bit of this surface here, so I can get the next bit of scale model scenery trunking in, And once I get it up to here, I'll be able to put the junction box somewhere round about here, and we'll get the ballast over there. What I can do for the moment is actually get the ballast into here and get some ground cover in and replace this, and get some more ballast in here as well. And in the near future, the wall is going to be coming along here, so some of this will be coming up as well. I'll be able to get this wheels trunking up, but I'm not going to actually take this off until the glue's set on that. I don't want to muck about with it now. It'll be a case once again of dropping water on it, letting it go in, and then scraping it off. And once the ballast is removed here, this building here is going to take the place of this building here. And once that's done, we've got the other Clydebridge sign that will sit in here. As I say, these are non-operational, but that's my own personal choice. However, you can actually make them operational if you so wish, and the instructions explain to you how to do it. I'll give you the link to the company who make them, so I'm sure they'll be able to help out with any inquiries that you've got. Whilst we're looking around all the station here now as well, I'll just once again remind you about the Class 47 private group on Facebook. Go and search that out, and I'm sure if you're a 47 enthusiast they'll welcome you. And also check out Paul Appleby's excellent website, class47.co.uk. Now, whilst we're waiting on the bits from scale model scenery coming to complete this and to get the ballast removed, I'm going to talk to you about something else that I'm planning over here, and it's actually going to be the tunnel. I'm going to make this all look a lot better. It's rather crap, shall we say, but I'm going to make it look better because I'm going to have bricks and walling forming in there, making it look like it's curved. I'm going to plan that out now, and I'll talk more about that in a video that will come in November. And whilst I'm here, there'll be another video coming up, in set of videos coming up in fact over the next few months. Now that I've got 20 locomotives, I think it's time to review and renew the fleet review series, and we'll do 5 locomotives in each, in numerical order, lowest number to the highest number, and it'll start off with the ubiquitous Class 08 shunter. So that's what's coming up. Right, now it'll take a few days for that glue to properly dry before I can get set into doing the work I want to do here. You won't have to wait that long. You're only going to have to wait a matter of a few seconds, and then you'll see what I'm going to do. Right, the bits from scale model scenery have arrived, so I'm going to make a start on here and getting this bit done, and then get the water down and get all this removed and this old wheels trunking removed so it can be replaced with proper trunking, SMS variety. And by the way, once this trunking goes in up to here, that'll actually be all the cable trunking that I'll need. So this whole bit in terms of trunking is all completed then. So I've shown you how to build this before, and Justin Noble's done a video on it too, but I'll just briefly talk you through it again. This will be your base of your trunking. These are your 2 side bits. Make sure you always have the good bit with the slats in it on the outside. Once you've got them glued together, you have a internal piece there. Then you stick on your straight cable overlay. The other thin straight piece gets glued to the underside of this, and that's your lids. So that's how it would get built. I've actually had to pre-cut this one for the area that I'm needing, and these are the offcuts. Keep a hold of offcuts because you know they could come in handy. I actually used some offcuts just around here when I was actually building this earlier on there. That was actually an offcut and it was the exact size. So do keep offcuts until you're actually completely finished the cable trunking project, because as I say, they do come in handy. And it can often save you money because you're actually using bits that would otherwise have been thrown out. You might not need to buy as much as what you needed to do. although I've got a lid off here, I'll probably put another lid off and you could see just how realistic that looks there with the cable inside it there. So I'll go and get this done and then I'll get it installed into here, and I've got the junction box. That'll then get installed as well. I think it's that way it goes. Yep, it's that way it goes. That'll get installed round about something like there. And then that'll be that bit done. That'll just need to get them ballasted down around about there, and then I'll make a start there. So I'll go and get the cable trunking built, then we'll get it installed and have a look at how it looks. There we go, so we've got that bit of cable trunking in there, and we've got the cabinet there. One thing I will point out is I've actually had to stick that down with Yoo-hoo glue, and this did come away a little bit at the side, so I've had to actually try and join that back together. There is a stain there from the glue, but that might make it more realistic, ironically enough. So ballast has got to go in here, but the gravel will not actually be put until I'm doing this bit as well. That way I can do the whole lot in one go, and at least know that I've got enough gravel to go around the whole bit, because this is quite a big task. So there we have that there. Now if you're actually a great fan of the model railways, and why wouldn't you be if you're watching this, New Durham Junction's worth checking out. So give him a check out. And Finniston Central, give him a check out as well. Now other bits did arrive today as well as I film this, and that's actually the bits for the tunnel. And I'm going to be doing some filming of that whilst I'm filming bits for this, but you won't see the tunnel until the November video. So my next task is, I'll get my syringe and I'll start dropping water onto here, and then this should hopefully allow all this ballast to be scraped up. This will be taken up too, and then I'll put new cable trunking round here. I'll probably go a bit further, and then we'll get the cabinet in there. And once the cabinet is in place, I'll be able to then put the building that's going to sit in there, get the sign in place, and then we'll put the ballast down and glue it in. It is quite a long, arduous task, I know. So we'll go through that bit by bit. Right, here we go, we're ready to do this. So what I'm doing is I'm just applying this from a syringe. This is just plain water, although I'm using the same jug that I use for putting the PV water mixture in, and all you're doing is you're just putting it on like that, as if you were putting PVA water mix onto your ballast. So we'll let that go in, and you just let that soak in for a few minutes. You'll need a cloth as well, the reason being that once you remove the ballast, it's just to absorb any water that's left lying. So I'll get on and do the rest of that, and it'll take me quite a few minutes, and then you simply get a flat-headed screwdriver and start taking it up. So I'll go and put the rest of that on. Don't want to bore you to death with this, and then we'll have a look at where we're up to. This building is going to come off too, and that's going to get disposed of, and it's glued down. So I imagine that when I put the water on, the water will also remove the building and hopefully unstick it, and we'll get something else in there instead. Right, well, that's the whole area cleared. Now I must confess it took 45 minutes to actually do all that, from putting the water on, letting it soak in, to then scraping it off, and I had to add more water to some other bits on a couple of occasions. You can see here as well where the old hut was, it's now been removed, and this is the hut that came from where the depot area is, where there's a yard lamp now. I've actually just stuck it on there with Yoo-hoo glue, so that's actually fine there. One wee problem that's just cropped up here, but it's easy to solve, is I've got a little gap there between the baseboards. Once I've got the cable trunking down, I'll put some cork in there, yoo-hoo that down, let that dry, then we'll get yoo-hoo glue put all on here and we'll get the ballast on here. I've also got to do, once I've got the cable trunking down, is put this somewhere, and I'm thinking probably round about here will be the best place to put it. Yep, that's what I think I'll do with that. But what I'll do, just to make absolutely sure, is find my Mark IV coach with a flaming, well, I'll put it somewhere, I'll get it in a few minutes, and I'll just double check that I've got everything. I might actually in fact install it here instead. There we go. So I've got a couple of options open. Should put it there. Yeah, I might actually end up putting it there, so there's still a walkway behind it, and we know that this is absolutely fine there, so so that's what's going to happen next. I used the cloth to mop up what was left of the old ballast, by the way, and then it got the whole area cleared. So as I say, that's now in position, ready. It's just a case now of getting the cable trunking in, so that's what I'm going to do next. So that's the cable trunking from Scale Model Scenery now installed, and I've got the junction box there. One thing I'll notice is there's a couple of bits of ballast here that will need to be infilled, so that'll get done when I'm doing this bit. Forgot to mention as well, see when you do come to do these sorts of jobs where you're scraping the old ballast off or old gravel off, you might be tempted to soak the whole lot down and then start at one end, scrape some of it, and whilst the rest is absorbing the water, start putting your new stuff down. Don't attempt that. Clear the whole area that you've actually planned to clear, and then go and replace it. Don't attempt to just do one bit whilst the other's offloading, because when you're scraping it, it's actually vibrating, and it could actually end up vibrating and ruining what you've already put down. So clear the whole lot in one go. I've put the junction box like that there, and there's still adequate clearance for trains as well. I mean, just to prove to you, I wouldn't recommend you do this at home, but there we go, you could see there's actually no Mark III's come in here anyway, so actually I'm beginning to think that's maybe not enough adequate clearance. So but actually the cabinet's double-sided, this one, so there's doors on both sides, so it will actually be okay. I forgot that's a double-sided cabinet like this one here. Oh, I've also got a couple of the ScotRail signs left with Clydebridge on them, so I'll actually put one of them here, like that one. That's going to go in here as well, just to brighten this, break up this area a bit. When I was originally doing this, I could have had a little siding here to host a locomotive, but I haven't done that. There's nothing I can do about it now, it's all too late. But that's definitely what I'll do next. I'll get the PVA down and the ballast, the gravel down, we'll let it dry and we'll get a sign in. We'll also put the gravel in here and here, meaning that the only bits that's still to be gravelled are the bits in here which can't be done until after the walkways are done, and that'll actually be next year now. One last shout out for this video, by the way, before I show you the finished article, as it were, for this month. And that's a happy 50th birthday to Scooney Hobbies in Kirkcaldy, where I've actually had a lot of stuff from in the past. The track has all come from Scooney Hobbies, as has the depot building and a couple of coaches. And I've also done the conversion from analogue to DCC for some of my Lima locomotives, such as 47406 Rail Riders. So, happy 50th birthday to Scooney Hobbies. It's hard to believe I started going in there back when I was a kid at the age of 10 back in 1989. If you're ever in the Kirkcaldy area, go and check them out, please. That's me put the PVA water mix on. Now that needs a few days to set, so that's exactly what's going to happen. And I've also put PVA water mix down here where I've put some ballast there and where I've been touching up. Once I put the PVA water mix down, I've actually had to go and touch up this area around here. I'll now, as I dry for a few days. I'm then going to make an attempt to put this sign up, which will sit around about there. I've already tried it once and it managed to fall over, so wait until that's all dry and I'll make an attempt at putting that up. If I've got to make it smaller, I've got to make it smaller. The pillars, that is. But hopefully not. So we'll let that dry for a few days. We'll get the sign on, and then that will be the October update completed. There we have it, folks. This is the whole area now done. So we've got the new cable trunking in here and here. Got all the new ballast down here and in here. All that remains to be done now for this bit is for the walkways to get made along there. They'll be done next year. But this is this whole area now complete. And it does look a lot better. I know it's a bit of a different shade to the ballast there, but it does look a lot better than the black stuff that was down before. So I've got the Welcome to Clydebridge sign proudly displayed there too. So with all of that, that completes this month's update here from Clydebridge Station, and I hope you've enjoyed it. Next month we will be doing work on the tunnel mouth, and I'll also be doing some landscaping work there as well, and I'll be looking at a project to build something to go on the top of the shopping centre. Entrances to and from the rooftop car park are slightly lacking at the moment, so I'll be doing that as well, and that's all to come in the November update. So I hope you've enjoyed this month's update. Any comments, queries, suggestions, please leave in the box, the comments below, and do check out all those other layouts and other people that I've said to you. I'll see you next month. In the meantime, thank you very much indeed for watching. Take care of yourselves and enjoy your layouts. Bye bye for now.